back to BlockTV, where it is time now for HODL with HEDL, a chance to zoom out for a moment and take a wider perspective on some of the heady issues, one can say, that dominate the crypto markets as a whole. And to guide us on his journey of discovery, I'm so very glad to be joined by early Bitcoin and thought leader Dan Held, co-founder of asset management firm Interchange. Hey, Dan.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going well. So before we delve into our weekly roundup with you, I got to read you this press release just out approximately half an hour ago. Let me read you this. I think you're well familiar with it. Kraken, a San Francisco, California-based digital asset exchange, acquired Interchange, an accounting reconciliation and reporting service provider for cryptocurrency hedge funds, asset managers, and fund administrators. The amount of the deal was not disclosed.
That's correct.
No. Okay, talk to me about, first of all, congratulations.
Thanks. It's been a wild journey. You know, I'd like to shout out to every single startup founder out there. It's a super hard journey that you have to go through, and you have to work alongside some really great people, including your investors, your co-founders, and your employees. And I'd like to take this time to just say that I appreciate all of them for what they did for us. It's been a super long journey, and I appreciate all the work, all the hard work that they've put in, and so want to say thank you.
Tell me, first of all, as we say, where we're at, Mazel Tov, one can say, but clearly a long journey. Tell me what it entailed, and what does this deal mean for you guys? What does it mean for you guys? What does it mean for Kraken?
Yeah, great question. So, for us, we set out to go build tools for institutional traders. And we definitely built some of that out, which included portfolio reconciliation, and that's the core Interchange product, and on product market fit with the fund administrator section. So in that sector of the market, fund admins do the crypto hedge fund accounting. So what we do is we supply them their core accounting software to help them through that portfolio reconciliation process. For us, it was definitely trying to find, our way through the ecosystem, seeing how things evolved. Things when we launched in late 2017 were quite a bit different than they were right now in the middle of 2019. I think you remember back then ICOs were a big deal, and now that's not really a big topic anymore. So,
and that's putting it mildly, yes.
Yeah, so to steer our ship, to steer the product through these kind of tricky waters, we had to take in a lot of input from our investors and a lot of input from different people that we met in this space. And so, we're constantly doing a little trimming of the rudder to make sure we steer that ship properly. And it felt like it was a really, really good fit at the end here to slide right in and work with Kraken.
Now, what is it? Go ahead. And when it comes to Interchange, you're working with them. Kraken has just, essentially bought you guys. What is your role in all of this from now on?
Yeah, great question. So Kraken has acquired Interchange and the team. My role will be director of business development across all Kraken products. I will be spending the next month kind of working to put Interchange in a really good spot. It is my baby. I want to make sure it's put in the right sort of area. So I've been working closely with the team internally on making sure it's a really good fit. So what that means business development wise is that partnerships, integrations, potential big customers, that's sort of under my wheelhouse. I work alongside a few other BD people as well. So right now we are all global BD, so we don't have regional heads yet, but myself and those few are the ones who will kind of be that external relationship manager for Kraken.
Look, clearly a unification, so to speak, that benefits both sides, benefits the sphere. Sounds like a very good deal. I'm not going to press you on how good it was, but congratulations. As we said, we're speaking to you today. So many things in the headlines, not just the hearing of this week, apropos Capitol Hill trying to deal with cryptocurrencies, but in late breaking news today, and we're at the end of July 2019, that we'd love to get your take on. CoinDesk just reported, literally, that Bitcoin derivatives provider LedgerX announced it has launched the first physically settled Bitcoin futures contracts in the United States. And according to the report, the contracts which pay traders out in Bitcoin rather than US dollars will be available to both institutional and retail investors. Now, How big is this in your mind? This is literally now.
Yeah, Juthika Chow is the CEO of LedgerX, and I've got huge respect for her, her and her husband who co-founded LedgerX. You know, they've been kind of wading through these uncertain regulatory waters with the CFTC for, I think I met Juthika in 2014. So she's been working on this for 5 years. Not a lot of people will work on a startup for 5 years. And so, you know, I want to give her a tremendous, you know, round of applause for how far she's gotten. And this is a huge moment for her. On the derivative side, this is an important new, you know, a financial asset or an important new type of financial instrument for traders to be able to take positions in cryptocurrency that are far more nuanced. You know, options, futures, and derivatives allow traders to take more speculative positions or use it to hedge. And that, I think, brings around a much more efficient market over time, where before, if we just have a spot market where you can buy and sell cryptocurrency, but you can't hedge it, then we can't come up with more complex financial instruments. Those more complex financial instruments are important for you know, for example, like Bitcoin mining, for Bitcoin miners to be able to hedge their downside risk, and for traders as well. Markets become much more efficient, the spreads get smaller as they're able to hedge their positions when they buy and sell or hold a position in cryptocurrency.
Clearly, you know, a day of headlines, but you'd mentioned apropos, you know, regulation, because all of these, you know, your sale, LedgerX, coming on the heels of a week that saw yet again another hearing on Capitol Hill, not as sexy and enticing maybe as the ones 2 weeks ago of Libra, David Marcus versus those panels. But still, it shows that the Senate Banking Committee is interested or understands it cannot ban cryptocurrencies. I don't know if you had a chance to listen to those hearings. That was the highlight for us. Do you think, though, you know, when listening to those headlines coming out of Washington, D.C., is Capitol Hill moving fast enough to try and regulate? Did you have a chance to listen to those hearings? And are they educated enough to even understand the difference between cryptocurrencies and between Libra and the Sphere? Is it moving fast enough?
Well, as John Oliver, a U.S. comedian, puts it, Bitcoin is everything you don't understand about money with everything you don't understand about computers. So it's very, very hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard for individuals who are typically older, for them to really, you know, understand and comprehend how blockchain and cryptocurrency works. It's not necessarily their fault. It's a pretty nuanced topic, and they really have to spend the time and effort to dig in on it. That being said, they are the leaders of our country, so I fully expect them to have intelligent people around them to tell them exactly how it works. The problem is finding those intelligent individuals. There's very few and far between, even in the cryptocurrency space itself. Not many people understand the subtle trade-offs that certain blockchain technology makes. You know, certainly if blockchains are good at some things, they must be terrible at other things. And I think there's very small groups of individuals in this space that are pragmatic and will openly talk around the trade-offs that you make when you want to build a robust, decentralized blockchain technology company or protocol. So I hope that they find those individuals to inform them and let them understand. And I think we're seeing glimmers of that, right? Where they talk about how Bitcoin is the strongest or more decentralized cryptocurrency. We hear them talk about how it's so hard to stop Bitcoin because it's so decentralized. So at least we're getting the point across. They may not know the subtleties as to why. For example, they may not know through proof of work mining that game theoretic financial incentive is essentially what keeps the so they keep the miners honest. So we're not really, they may not know that nuance, but you know, not everyone needs to know how their car is made. Not everyone needs to know how their computer is made. We just know what buttons to press and the features of it. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
And not a bad thing, but isn't there also a danger that now that legislators are finally in the United States looking at the process, what seems to be, you know, the first serious attempt, because they understand they're losing businesses. You know, they sat in front of, you know, Larry's the head of Circle, and everybody warning them we're going to leave the country. But isn't there a danger that as they look to regulate, just because of the Facebook, you know, foray into the sphere, that it's going to be tailored to a specific, form of cryptocurrency while dropping everything behind. I don't think, I mean, you and I know it can't affect Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the true decentralized one, but the rest are not. Some of them are not. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I could weigh in on this. So Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have been regulated by FinCEN, the CFTC, the SEC, the IRS, and other regulatory agencies since 2013, 2014. Now, they may have not provided really great guidance,
Exactly.
but they've been regulated since then. So I'd like to make that subtle nuance. I'd like to make that nuance clear.
Right.
I don't think Libra is necessarily a bad thing for Bitcoin. I think a lot of the comments that we saw in Congress were, and by the Fed chairman and the Treasury Secretary, I think those were all pretty much showed that they understood that there is a difference. And a lot of the flack that Libra got, I don't think Bitcoin gets, because I think Libra makes a really great point about Bitcoin, is that Bitcoin isn't controlled by a company. It's not controlled by a government. And that apolitical characteristic it has actually unites all of us. It increases the social scalability, as Nick Szabo puts it. And so that's where I think we have seen some glimmers of the leaders of our country understanding that nuance. And we saw a lot of the flack in those hearings really directed at Facebook and Libra rather than cryptocurrency as a whole.
Entirely, and I think the only fear there is that then a clearer guidance and regulation will be tailored to that rather than the rest of the sphere. But again, time will tell, and I think we can all agree that 2020 is. Do you think that in 2020 Libra will be rolled out? Does that seem plausible to you?
Yes, the rumor now is that Libra won't be rolled out, right? I don't know enough about the regulatory environment to really, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not an expert in terms of policy. Whereas the guys over at Coin Center, like Niraj, I would definitely recommend that if you don't donate to Coin Center, or if you haven't heard of it, that you go check it out. Coin Center fights for cryptocurrency as a whole in front of Congress and in front of other regulatory bodies across the world to help them understand how it works. So those guys, I trust in their guys, as in guys and gals. I trust in their judgment and their capability to go convey that message. And they would be the experts as to weigh in how possible a Libra launch is. Based on all the flack Facebook got, I mean, the use case, the initial use case as a product guy, for me, what I care about the most is, okay, you've got this cool new technology. Well, how are we going to go apply it? How is it going to go solve a problem for some customer segment? And so I think it depends on how Facebook rolls out their initial, product market fit for Libra. If it's remittances for, people in South America or Africa that are typically lower income, I think it might have come across really, really well, and they might be able to sort of preserve and save their reputation that has kind of been tarnished through the privacy issues. And Libra, I don't think, really helps with that. As Facebook has learned, all currency is about trust. And when people don't trust you, it makes it very hard for them to trust your currency.
Money is about trust, and entirely so. But as we said, hearings this week, great news for you this week, but also we're speaking on a day where just in a few hours, supposedly the Federal Reserve is set to lower the interest rates. Today, this will be the fifth reduction, as we keep mentioning, since 1995. Now, many eyebrows are raised first about the idea of, this is a type of campaign move of reduction of interest that happens when the economy is slow. That's not necessarily the case right now in the U.S. So, first of all, the question is, why? And do you think this will have an effect? Usually has an effect, obviously, on institutional and regular markets. Do you think it will have an effect also on cryptocurrency markets?
Yeah, this is hugely bullish for cryptocurrency long term. The Fed cutting rates amidst a bull market is absurd. The boundary between the Fed and the political system have been completely breached. Banks, the political system essentially control the Fed. The idea that it's separate and independent is laughable. This is one more crack in the facade of that bullshit illusion of what it was before. And this is fantastic. I thought we'd have to wait years to see this happen, and it's all unraveling much quicker than I expected. Temptation for humans to print money is irresistible, and they will continue to do so until they're forced to convert to a sound money like Bitcoin.
I mean, is it unraveling though? Because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm theorizing with you. This is clear. One can argue, and I personally agree, this is a political move. Okay, and the cracks are seen entirely a political move. One can argue China trade wars, whatnot. But do you really think that the system's unraveling that fast? Because I hate to be, not even devil's advocate. They seem to be doing this for years now, and they keep surviving the financial crisis that follows after it.
That's a great point. What I mean by unraveling is it's kind of unprecedented to cut rates during a bull market.
Yeah.
That is very different. It also signals something to everyone, which is that, like I said, these lines have been crossed now, whereas before, the only reason why a money is worth something is our trust and belief in it. Same with Bitcoin, same with fiat currency. And at least there was some illusion or some respect for the Federal Reserve in terms of the independence that they had. Now that's been completely breached. And so that's what I mean by unraveling, is that we're slowly seeing cracks in the facade of trust in the US government and other governments. We're starting to see people start to question the nature of their reality. Will these centralized solutions be able to solve my financial problems? And then they're going to quickly figure out that, wait, the central planners or the central organizations that do this are actually the problem. They actually create the problem. And that's the whole point with Bitcoin, is that Satoshi's brilliance was not necessarily the code, it was the monetary policy. And that's what my next article is on. The 21 million hard cap isn't just some arbitrary number that he picked. Yes, the 21 million is somewhat arbitrary, but the capping of it is the brilliance of it. Because Satoshi knew that choosing an inflation rate, choosing a rate to devalue everyone's currency, is impossible to choose. Now, how do you choose what an appropriate rate is? And let's say you could calculate what an appropriate rate of inflation should be. Well, then how do you ingest enough data points to then inform you as to how much you need to press certain levers to hit that inflation rate? And so, I think this is one small part of the unraveling or cracks in the facade, where we're seeing people start to question the nature of the reality. There is all the different safe havens for money are starting to become threatened, and Bitcoin will be one of the last ones left, and one of the hardest ones to stop. And that's why I think it's such an important moment, and I've waited 7 years to see us get this far. I mean, the fact that we're even in the macro backdrop right before a happening event is incredible. That everyone across the world would simultaneously decide to print with no regard to their financial systems, just keep printing, as $1 trillion deficits are what we're projected to have over the next couple of years in the United States. And Bitcoin's only at a couple hundred billion market cap. Well, I'm hugely bullish.
No, entirely. I'm just wondering if it's not going to lead to it's not going to lead to another cataclysmic event like 2008 for everybody to catch on that this system needs to change. But true, unraveling that it is. Dan Held, I want to first of all again congratulate you. As we said, selling to Kraken. That's as we said, quite a big deal, both for you and for Kraken. And thank you for being with us as always on HODL with HEDL. We were BlockTV. We'll be right back.
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.